Vusa Mazulu Credo Mutwa was a Zulu Sangoma traditional healer from South Africa. He was known as an author of books that draw upon African mythology, traditional Zulu folklore, extraterrestrial encounters, and his own personal encounters. In 2018, he was honored with an award presented by the South African Department of Arts and Culture for his work in indigenous wisdom. Credo called himself a Sanusi, which is a type of Zulu diviner. In 1974, Credo obtained a piece of land in Soweto in order to create an African cultural village to preserve cultural heritage and his own teachings. At that time, as the locals were steeped in Christianity, they were suspicious of the cultural village. Credo believed that the great unrest in Johannesburg and the popularization of communism in the black struggle drew Africans away from their traditional roots. In 1976, students partially burnt down the cultural village after he was misquoted on African radio as they saw the village promoting tribalism and separate development. Parts of the village were burnt again in the mid-1980s during a strike against the West Rand City Council. Following the murder of his son by black political activists and the second burning of his village, Credo moved away from Soweto. All his life, he dedicated himself to safeguarding the wisdom, artifacts, and history of his people. He loved to help those in need, and he had respect and admiration for the wider world and decided to share his wisdom and knowledge with all of us so that we could help make this place better for the future generations. In this documentary, I'll be presenting various pieces of video and audio of Credo speaking on important messages, wisdom, and experiences having to do with alien beings and the hidden entities that have controlled humans for many years through mental and energetic slavery. I hope that his words instill confidence and hope in your heart. Namaste.
The Zulu people say, ulwazi luvela olwandle. The knowledge comes from the sea. Our people believe that many centuries ago, a race of intelligent creatures of various kinds chaperoned the human race into this world in which we are in exile. And members of this race went into the sea to become what we today call dolphins, amahlengetho. Over the centuries, dolphins and whales sent knowledge via dreams to human beings. The whales told us all about God. The dolphins told us all about wisdom and art and other forms of positive creativity. We say that they came with their great emperor Wowane from the star called Sirius by the white people many millennia ago.
Credo was initiated as a spiritual healer and wisdom keeper, a Sanusi, when he was in his teen years. Throughout his years as an apprentice, he had to undergo various rites of passage, some dangerous and some excruciating. For example, he had to circumcise himself with a blunted blade. He was given a young female oracle whom he was supposed to have sexual interaction with. However, he mistook the offer and refused on the account that she looked deranged. This was an insult to his leaders. Among the many strange things he had to do, he was once asked to eat a human hand that had been dead for days.
When the white man started destroying our religion, when he started demonizing our gods, in many parts of Africa, say, our ancient religion went underground. And when I became a Sangoma, I was a youth of 16 years. What my aunt and my grandfather, as well as my maternal grandmother, taught me, shook me to the core of my soul. And sometimes I had to pay a ghastly price in order to gain this knowledge. If you wanted to learn the secrets of a certain secret society, you had to do dreadful things which I cannot repeat here. My teacher said, look, how far are you willing to go in order to become one of us? I said, I am willing to go anywhere. He looked at me and he said, listen, educated man, we are tired of people like you. White men come amongst us to milk our minds and then to kill us. We want to be sure that we can trust you. And then they went into a graveyard, and from there they removed the hand of a corpse, dead 2 days, and they brought it and they challenged me to cook it and eat it. I did so. Through this dreadful act, I was able to gain knowledge which was denied to even the highest Sangomas, because they would not go through the ritual I went through. And these were the peoples who first told me about a race of highly intelligent beings which they called the Chitauri, the talkers, a race of creatures which look like reptiles, who have ruled the world for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Credo was probably made most famous among the Western world for his views on the existence of a supposed reptilian race of overlords from our past. According to his wisdom, the earth had produced many different types of beings, all children to this planet. Human beings are only a part of the greater star family. In our very ancient past, during Earth's early years, when the climate was a wet and vast rainforest, humans lived in a peaceful landscape, unbothered by modern problems. We were androgynous beings with a heightened sense towards nature. We had telepathic abilities and were more attuned to the greater environment around us. Among this misty era, one day, a very traumatic series of events began to take place. An advanced race of reptilian beings came here and slowly churned us from androgynous beings to male and female. They also stripped us of our telepathic abilities, giving us speech instead. They created different languages among the people to divide us. They stirred our emotions, creating nations and instigating war. As Credo states in his famous 3-hour-long interview with David Icke, everything the reptilian race gave us was disguised as a gift, but always proved to be a control mechanism to weaken us.
There was once a time when the blue sky was invisible, when the whole world was covered with mist, when you could not see the sun as it is now, you only saw it as a splash of white light moving slowly across the sky. At that time, there was an eternal drizzle every day of the year. People only saw the trees growing, trees which were very, very big. There was no desert at that time, only jungle everywhere where you went. At that time, sir, people were what we call in Zulu, ngubili. A human being was both male and female in one body. And out of the sky, one day came terrible objects. They were like gigantic bowls made of huge gleaming gold. They came out of the sky bringing great noise, black smoke, and fire with them. And out of those huge objects came them. They told our people that they were gods and that they were going to give us human beings great gifts on one condition. We had to worship them and accept them as our creators. Some told our people that they were our elder brothers and that this earth had produced them generations ago.
Credo also tells a story about the king of these reptilian people being engaged in a battle by the leader of the human beings. And during this battle, the human leader actually cuts off the penis of the reptilian overlord, in which the reptilian overlord, Umbaba, has to replace it with a golden artificial penis. And during this battle, it is decided by Umbaba that the humans shall suffer the consequences.
Now Umbaba had a terrible nail in one of his hands, a claw, and with this claw he drove the claw into poor Mweru's nostril, making a terrible hole into his brain, and he started drinking Mweru's brain, and then he threw away the corpse. To this day, we believe that the people, the Chitauri people, they eat human brains.
Our early encounters and conflicts with the reptilian beings caused a great tension between us and them. Credo chronicles this story and says that at some point the reptilians actually engaged the creator of all in a great war where they were condemned and seemingly transformed in a way in which they could not sustain themselves in this physical reality, and because of that they resorted themselves to feeding off of energy, in which Credo will detail later on in this documentary. Credo also recounts a different story about another race of beings whom we interacted with in our ancient past. In this next story, he tells us about the Nommo, the first alien beings that the Africans witnessed and had the fantastic pleasure of meeting. We can assume that this story took place many millennia after the initial encounter with our reptilian elders. This tale about the Nommo is an African legend that details an intervention by a leader among these friendly beings who came to wake us up from our slumber to remember how great we once were. These kind beings had an amphibious physique. They stayed with us for a short time to preach and prophesy and then left.
It is an insult to believe that God, the great planter of life, only planted life upon this, our shabby little world. No, there are other worlds besides ours. There are other worlds beside our Mother Earth, upon which life exists. The first encounter between Africans and extraterrestrial beings occurred more than 7,000 years ago. Out of the skies, we are told, there descended a fearsome object, a huge spherical object. This spherical object descended to earth with a sound like 1,000 thunderstorms. A door opened in this strange metallic sphere, and out of the sphere there came a long line of strange creatures, creatures that walked like human beings, creatures that had webbed feet and webbed hands, creatures that had the faces of fishes but the bodies of human beings. The leading creature lifted up its stick and its right hand, and it addressed the people as follows: People of this world, we are the Nommo people. We come from the land of the star of Credo. We come from the star you know as the star of the red dog. Listen to our words, because we have been sent by a very high one in a high place to make certain truths known to you. The creature told our people that the race of humanity was once great amongst the stars, that human beings were once the leading race in the great cluster of stars, because human beings were so vicious, so aggressive towards other intelligent creatures and towards living things in general. A great war broke out amongst the stars as several worlds joined forces against the human race, fought it and drove it away from the center of the great star flower. The Nommo or the Nommo told the people that if we human beings could get rid of hatred, if we could get rid of war, if we could get rid of disease, if we could get rid of selfishness, the great gathering of the star worlds would once more receive us with open arms to take once more our rightful place in the great kingdom of the worlds. The Nommo taught us that we must at all times respect the earth upon which we live. The Nommo told us that our earth, the earth in which we live, was artificially created in order to breed and to sustain life, life which would then spread to other worlds amongst stars beyond number. The Nommo said, "Oh, earth-dwelling brothers and sisters, you must understand who you really are. You must understand how great you are. You must understand how great you once were. And you must know that a living thing that does not spread out to the stars sooner or later dies out. And that if you Do not follow us into the dark spaces above. You shall exterminate your earth and eventually shall exterminate yourselves. And the earth, which is a womb world, a breeder of life, will be once more empty of living things. The Nommo people were seen once and once only, and their ships never visited this earth again. We do not know why.
Among Credo's many intriguing experiences, there is his alien abduction event, which he remembers as one of the most traumatic experiences he ever had. The story starts with him and a relative looking for a special herb on some mountainside in the country. They were sent there by their teacher to find this specific herb. It was later revealed to him by his teacher that he was sent there on purpose to have this experience. That area was notorious for alien abductions. In another amazing, almost 3-hour interview titled African Wisdom Keepers, Celestial Knowledge, Credo reveals many truths about the different aliens we've encountered. When it comes to the gray alien, as it is famously known, he tells us what he believes they are and why they are here. After having been abducted and experimented on by them, he concludes that they are a sinister bunch of entities with a vengeance. Known by his people as the Mantindane, these beings have troubled the African continent for many centuries.
A strange blue mist fell all around me. And what happened afterwards, I do not know. I regained consciousness to find myself lying upon what looked like a metal working table. Through the haze, I saw things moving. They looked like dolls. They looked so incredible that I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My mind faintly registered the spectacle. There was something cold and unbelievably unfriendly in the creature's expression. And I wasn't given enough time to dwell upon what I was seeing. These creatures looked exactly like this. They are the type of alien creature that has been known and feared throughout Africa for generations. This creature is known by the Zulu-speaking people of South Africa as a Mantindane, which means to abuse, to fiddle with, and to torture by interfering with the victim's genitals and other private parts. Even mighty nations such as the Zulus, even powerful warrior nations such as the Botswanas and Xhosas lived in mortal fear of these creatures. I saw creatures in what appeared to be glass jars, little Mantindane swimming like ugly little frogs inside pinkish fluid. I saw other things that I cannot even pretend to understand or to describe. And then I saw a number of people undergoing the same brutal torture that I had undergone. One of the people was a man. I came so close to him as to look down into his agonized face. And some years later, round about 1963, I was walking the streets of Johannesburg when a white man suddenly grabbed me by the shoulder. I thought I was being arrested. The white man said, "Hey, stop you." I stopped. He said, "Do you speak English?" I said, "Yes, boss, I speak English." And then he said, "Where the fucking hell did I see you before? Where did I see you before? Where?" I said, "I don't know, boss." He said, "Listen, don't bullshit me, man. Where did I see you before?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Were you in Rhodesia?" I said, "Many times, boss." He looked at me for a long time, his lips trembling. It was obvious that the man was on the very brink of total insanity. There was a wild look in his gray eyes that chilled me to the core of my soul. He pushed me away. As he walked away, he said, "Stupid kafir, we were in hell together." Those words shall ring in my mind for as long as I live. Stupid kafir, we were in hell together. There is no glory, there is no glamour, there is no sanctity in being captured and tortured by a Mantindane. Strange pictures are instilled into your mind, pictures of the end of the world. When you have been captured by the Mantindane, you want to find out exactly why this happened to you. I am not one of those who believes that these Mantindanes are experimenting with us. There is too much purposefulness, too much efficiency behind the whole thing. These creatures are harvesting us for some reason. All I do know is that somewhere out there are creatures of an extremely high intelligence, creatures that have haunted the lives of our remote ancestors for hundreds, if not thousands of years, creatures that still haunt our lives at this day and this hour. The Mantindane creatures do not come from any star or star system in space. I say that these creatures come from our future. These are our descendants. When you have been worked over by them, you will understand that what they are doing to you, they do it with angry consciences. They are taking revenge upon us for what we have done to our future a few thousand years from now.
Credo is highly revered in Africa as the last of a now forgotten breed. He was a wise spiritual leader and healer, a prophet, a community activist, a spokesman for the regular people. He had undying passions for the world and his people, being an author of several books, a painter, a sculptor, craftsman, and political leader. He left behind so much for us to gain from. He was not shy about divulging his beliefs and thoughts on any matter. In this following section, we'll hear Credo telling us why he decided to reveal the secrets he so painstakingly gained through daunting rites of passage. He was not fooled by the coming new age. He knew that the world needed to hear the truth in order to fight what was yet to come.
Why, Credo, have you chosen to reveal this knowledge now to a much, much wider audience?
Mr. David, please, Africa is dying. Africa, say, is being murdered. And we are sitting like bloody fools. And we don't realize what's being done to our people. Say, I have proof that can stand in any true court of law that the disease called AIDS is a man-made disease. The best way to protect an evil thing is to deny its existence. And if you talk about things such as the Chitauri, if you talk about things such as the Mantindane, there are many people who say to you, rubbish, this thing does not exist. Now, in this way, this great evil is protected by being denied. We must stop saying that there are no Chitauri, that there are no aliens, that there are no Illuminati. There are. I think about things that a man like me shouldn't bother himself about. I worry about people. It's sickening. I have ruined my life because of worrying about people. I feel that I want to take every human being on this earth by the shoulders, shake them roughly and say, listen, Pastor, there is more to this earth than you think.
In this next part, Credo begins to detail how the reptilian Chitauri utilize energy and negative human emotion to sustain themselves.
And there are people who claim that these creatures are gods. There are people who claim that these creatures are experimenting on us. That is a lot of rubbish. These creatures are harvesting us. These creatures are not aliens, Mr. Ike. These creatures are sexually compatible with our women. And what does that tell you? It tells you that they came from here. And this makes them all the more dangerous. They know us very, very, very well. They know the great weaknesses of our minds, just as they know the great strengths of our minds. They operate in what I call the gray area of human existence, that side of our lives which we don't want to acknowledge the existence of. We are told that the Chitauri eat energy which is generated when hundreds of human minds or one human mind starts thinking at certain levels. And when the whole land is drowning in death and fear and terror, when hundreds and hundreds of people are angry and afraid, the Chitauri get fat because they eat what we call the dark power, which is brought about when human beings destroy the planet on which they live.
Credo understood that the psychology of the human brain could be a vulnerable weak point and used against us. He understood that phenomena or entities could exist outside of our realm of perception and infiltrate and influence us through these blind spots.
I have said to you, Mr. Ike, that we human beings have got a blind spot in our brains. And this is what the Chitauri and other alien nasty boys are exploiting. Very often we human beings tend to censor what we see. If you are an educated professor and you see a spook, your educated mind will refuse to accept what it is seen. You will reject it and throw it to the back burner of your brain, and it will stay there. Say, there are certain vaccination things that are done to our children which rob them of the ability of seeing spiritual entities. Believe me, our grandmothers used to give us great pain in order to save our spiritual eyes. They used to hit grains of maize, and then they would hit this grain of maize, and using a piece of wood as tweezers, place it firmly against the skin of the child. So when the school inspector came, he saw these blisters and assumed that the child had been vaccinated, but in fact it had not. I noticed that school children in mission schools who had been vaccinated for smallpox or for measles could not see spiritual entities at all. I have serious reason to believe that on this planet, things are coming to a head, and our invisible jailers are going to fight tooth and nail to prevent this. The human being, captive as he is, slave as it is trying to fight back. Something inside us human beings is beginning to fight back against the Chitauri. Something inside us human beings is beginning to say no. And the Chitauri are going to drag us all right into hell itself in order to restore their power over us. Stop calling the conspiracy a theory. Theories do not kill people, Mr. David. Theories do not murder innocent children. Theories are just ideas floating in the air. The conspiracy is real. This is what I think. We human beings are holier and more wonderful than we think we are. And I feel we lost something at some time in the course of our development, or shall I say, in the course of our manipulation.
Although Credo was aware of the many extraterrestrial beings in this vast universe, he knew there was a one true creator of all. He understood that if one simply looks at a tree, for example, we can see its many intricacies and can only assume that something beautifully designed to such a perfect structure and system could only be designed by something just as alive and conscious, if not more. Credo's wisdom is timeless and something we should hold dearly in these times that we are in. Among his wisdom, he tells us about the symbolism of the spiral or serpent and says that it not only represented reincarnation, it also represented the energetic fields of this earth that healers could tap into to use to help heal others and the environment. It also represented the connection we used to have to other star systems in this universe.
Also, it is a symbolism of the secret road that, according to ancient tradition, was taken by people between this star system of ours, the solar system, and other solar systems, because we are told there was a secret spiral road which you could travel from this earth of ours to other planets. But when man became aggressive and sinful, the gods closed the path of the many returns.